Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and Happy New Year and welcome to the VeryVera Show. You know, this time of year I absolutely love some of the foods that will be celebrated over the New Year's weekend and also all winter long. So I've got 4 recipes today that I think you're going to really like. The hot mushroom dip was the all-time favorite in my catering division for an appetizer. It's going to be in my next cookbook. You're going to get to see it today. Really delicious. And then we're going to do the little thin, really paper thin pork chop. I'm going to show you how I've always fried those. And then we're going to have a delicious peach preserve on top that's from Pearson Farm. And then we're going to move into a gluten-free pound cake with a champagne glaze. Have a very special guest today, Jen Fiore, and she is an expert on anything gluten-free. I can't wait to introduce you. And then finally, a black-eyed pea salad that'll be a garnish for that pork chop. So, I've got a lot to do. Let's get started on that hot mushroom dip. All right, so the hot mushroom dip was a favorite in the 80s and early 90s in my catering division. And, you know, there's nothing like the smell of bacon in your kitchen. My mother-in-law always said, if you don't have any dinner plans, just throw a strip of bacon in the pan. At least the house will smell good when your husband comes home. So I love that. So what I've gone ahead and done is I cooked my thick sliced bacon, got it nice and crispy, drained it on a paper towel, then I left 2 tablespoons of the bacon drippings in the pan. Now, many times you're gonna saute in butter, and for me, I just want to continue that delicious flavor in the entire dip. So I like to use the, little bit of the bacon drippings instead of butter. And then I crumbled my bacon because it's gonna actually go in the dip. So now I'm ready to do the sauteing of the portobello mushrooms. And these are, just kind of thickly sliced because they will cook down just a little bit. And if they're too big, you want to maybe cut them in half. And then I've got my Vidalia onion, nice sweet onion, and garlic. And we're just going to cook this down long enough for this to be a little bit on the translucent side. And, there's all kinds of mushrooms you can use. Actually, in the recipe in the cookbook, I suggest 3 different types of mushrooms that you can use for this dish, and it actually works really well with just a button mushroom. But I think having a nice chunk of mushroom really is great. All right, so now I'm ready to add my flour. And this is going to be, a little bit of a roux and my bacon. And salt and pepper to taste. All right. So now let's see, I've got all kinds of good stuff going on here. We've got cream cheese. So kind of forget the New Year's resolution when you are making this dish, because needless to say, this is not on the low-cal side, but it is so scrumptious you don't have to eat too much of it. And then we've got sour cream. A lot of these ingredients, other than maybe the mushrooms, you already have in your refrigerator or your pantry. All right, we've got soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce. And then this is just going to cook down, and I'm going to transfer it to a really pretty silver chafer that will be on my little bar cart in my dining room where we're going to have our meal today. So when we come back from the break, we're going to get started on those really thin pork chops that I know everybody wonders, how did my grandmother cook those pork chops so delicious? You're going to learn today. So come back with me in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, and Happy New Year. We are celebrating today making some of my favorite recipes that I used to do for New Year's Eve parties, but these are things that you can enjoy all winter when you're getting ready for Super Bowl. Just doesn't matter what the occasion is. So this is actually a staple in my home. This is the really thin, paper thin pork chop that you just fry up really crispy, and my husband absolutely loves this dish. So I'm going to walk through the steps, and this is one of those for me that it was like I used to stand next to my mother when she was making them, so I really know how to do it. So that's the part about the show that I like the most, is that you're standing with me as I do these recipes. So I am going to use my Lodge skillet today. I've got about 1/4 of an inch of oil heating slowly in the pan. I have 2 eggs in a pie plate. I'm going to add in buttermilk and just whisk that together. So this is my first part of the recipe, is that you're going to coat the pork chop in this wet ingredient mixture. All right. All right, so now the next step, a lot of times we'll tell you to do this in a bowl, but I really like to use a Ziploc bag and just shake the pork chops in it. So let me go through all the ingredients that are in the flour mixture. And honestly, if you season your flour really well, your pork chop will be perfectly seasoned. So I have flour, cornstarch, and that really makes this little coating crispy. You've got garlic powder, onion powder, cayenne pepper, salt, and black pepper. And you know, I do the same thing when I'm frying shrimp. I love to put all of my ingredients in my Ziploc bag, and that's how I do it up. All right, so let me turn my heat up, because you want this to be about 350. So I'm going to take 1 pork chop. See how thin and pretty those are with the nice bone in it? All right, so I'm going to coat this really well. Now I'm going to add this to my Ziploc bag, and I'm probably going to be able to fry 3 of these at once. See, that's a lot easier to coat than trying to do that in a bowl. All right, so let's lift that out. And I'll do another one. So into your wet. And if you really like them kind of hot, you could add a little bit of Tabasco sauce to your liquid measuring ingredients too. And this is plenty for the, you know, the 5 pork chops, 6 pork chops that I'm getting ready to do. All right, so let me make sure my heat is where it needs to be. And we'll get these going. And then after they've fried, this is, I think a lot of times people think that you have to do this at the absolute last minute. But if you've got either an oven that you can turn on low, or in my case, I've got a warming drawer, I can go directly into that with these and get the rest of my dinner going. Okay, so let's see if we're gonna get a nice sizzle. Yes! All right, so I'm gonna cook these until they're brown on one side. Then I'm going to put a lid on it, turn the heat down so the inside gets good and cooked, and then flip them. All right, so when we come back from the break, we're gonna do Vera's Corner today on truffles. Then you're going to meet my special guest, and we are going to do a gluten-free cake. So I'll see you back in just a minute. Are you ever looking for that little bite-sized treat at the end of a dinner party? Well, today I've got some tips on how to make truffles you're really gonna like. You'll need Baker's semi-sweet chocolate, butter, heavy cream, vanilla extract, other flavorings, and your favorite toppings. Begin by placing 8 ounces of finely chopped quality chocolate bars in a microwave-safe bowl. Then heat 2/3 cup of heavy cream until it's simmering. Add 1 tablespoon of room temperature butter to the chocolate and pour the heavy cream evenly on top. Let the mixture sit for 5 minutes without stirring. Then add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract and stir until smooth. Substitute vanilla with any other extract like peppermint for a different pop of flavor. Pour into an 8x8 pan and refrigerate for 1 to 2 hours. Lay the baking pan flat to ensure that the mixture sets evenly. Using a cookie scoop, scoop out mounds onto the baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Refrigerate for 20 to 30 additional minutes to allow you to easily be able to roll them into balls. Roll them in chopped peanuts, sprinkles, cocoa powder, crushed cookies, or even freeze-dried fruit. You can also dip them in melted chocolate and top with gold foil for a festive pop. The possibilities are endless. Serve on a platter for your next celebration. Welcome back, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed Vera's Corner. You know, those are some fun little treats to do with your young person. Well, speaking of treats, I am so delighted today to have Jen Fiore, who is a gluten-free expert. She is a recipe developer. She has a personal interest in gluten. And, you know, when we were looking for things to do going into the new year and you reached out to us, I thought this is the perfect opportunity. So welcome, Jen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so happy to have you here. And we're going to do one of her pound cakes today. But just quickly, give us a little bit of background why this is such a personal connection for you.
Well, I'm a foodie, and I was raised in New York, and food was a big focus in celebrations. And in 2003, I found out that I had celiac disease, which basically means no good food. That's what it meant back in 2003. But then I found out my 3 children had it as well.
Oh, man.
So I made it a passion that they wouldn't miss out on anything, and myself included. But so I started to delve into recipe developing just for my family, honestly, so that my children could go to a pizza party and be able to have. So you can only imagine how many parties 3 children had in preschool, and oh my goodness, it was very hard in 2003. So my passion is to make people comfortable with gluten-free food and understand that you can have delicious food.
Oh, y'all are gonna love this today. All right, so I've already had you busy during the break.
Yes.
Tell us how you got to this point.
All right, so I creamed, of course, our lovely butter and sugar for this pound cake. And I've got 4 sticks of butter and 2 cups of sugar in this gigantic pound cake.
Oh, man.
Gluten-free.
Okay. All right.
And
well,
now,
I'm going to be your helper today.
Okay.
So you just tell me what to do.
So before we get into adding the eggs, let's sift this all-purpose flour. I aptly call this the Jen's all-purpose flour.
Okay.
And you're putting in some fine white rice flour, and I do like the fine white rice flour for this particular recipe.
Oh, that is so nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay,
Silky.
and then what is this?
This is organic brown rice flour, and again, you don't have to use organic. I do when I can, when it's affordable, when I can find a really great deal on organic. So that's organic brown rice flour, and then our starch, which we need in our all-purpose flour, is tapioca.
Oh, man. Okay,
Tapioca
so
flour.
Can you just not go buy a bag of gluten-free flour? I mean,
You
what's going on?
100% can. You absolutely. Ease, comfort. I used all-purpose flour this week on my fish tacos.
Okay.
But for baking, I have noticed through the years, depending on the recipe, it comes out a little dry.
Okay.
And so you have to adjust your traditional recipe. You know, you have to tweak and play, and I don't always love to tweak and play. I like it to be guaranteed, and this is a guarantee. And you're going to be putting in some xanthan gum, and this right here now makes it an all-purpose flour. Right there.
Okay.
You can use that same as a 1-to-1. But for this recipe, we're going to be adding in some baking soda and some salt. So we have baking soda there.
All right.
And then that's our salt, and we're going to sift all that together for this recipe.
All right, so I'm going to keep doing this, and you're ready to go.
So I'm ready, yeah. So we're going to add an egg at a time here, so we get them nice and blended.
Okay.
And
I've already learned something, y'all.
And now you're going to take your little measuring cup, and we're going to add that flour in. We're just going to do piece by piece.
I kind of snuck in that I like to use this so I don't get it all over the counter.
And it's just a trial of patience, but it's definitely worth it.
And you also said you don't want to overmix.
Don't want to overmix, so we're just going to keep going. You know, if I was here by myself, I'd be a little bit of an octopus. So
okay, now go over. Okay, you gave everybody the news that there were 4 sticks of butter in here.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
But now, how many eggs have you got?
I have 8 eggs in here.
Okay, and so she and I have had fun talking and getting to know each other because, you know, we questioned some of these ingredients because they weren't
And so have I.
normal, you know, and so it's no misprint, and the recipes will be available on our website at VeryVera.com. Jen's been nice enough to give us her secrets.
And this recipe truly is a very large pound cake. I mean, I'm venturing to say you could feed my family or maybe 12 people. My family's only 5. So we love to have our desserts when it's holiday time.
Well, you know, and when you talked about recipe development, and certainly for us, the relationships, Jen, that I've made through having 11 seasons of a cooking show and the special guests that I've made, we end up with customers, you know, during the golf tournament here in Augusta that have certain dietetic restrictions. And, you know, and I may be reaching out to you, you know, for some recipe development along those lines because this is not my expertise.
So, and I really do love that. That's the ease of being in 2022 with social media and coming into the new year.
Right,
we have all these
right.
things. I just want people to feel comfortable in the kitchen.
Well-
and any recipe you have in your cookbook, you can make it gluten-free.
Right, and y'all, she's been written up. She has a book. What have you got going on right now that's something new?
So right now on the shelves is Pain Cures by Women World. And my article is in there about one of the tips I use for my own health or with my arthritis.
Oh, awesome.
So-
Well, that might be interesting as well. Okay, so we've got a little bit more mixing and baking to do. This is going to go into a 350-degree oven for about an hour. And, of course, you want to test it. And then we're going to make a glaze during the break, the champagne glaze, which makes this perfect for this show. So y'all come back with us in just a few minutes. Well, Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to my celebration. You know, we've had the best time getting ready for this party tonight. A dinner party this time of year with a fire going in the fireplace and a beautifully set table really makes for a lot of fun. So we made 4 recipes today that I think you'll enjoy for this weekend or any of your winter gatherings or throughout the year for that matter. So we started with the hot mushroom dip. Used portobello mushrooms. This appetizer goes such a long way. If you're having 10 to 12 people over, perfect for the size of the recipe that I made today. It's great served with toast points. It's good at room temperature, but if you put it in a microwavable dish, then you can pop it in and keep it warm throughout the evening as people are enjoying their cocktail. All right, then we did the thinly sliced fried pork chop. And you know, I brought you into my kitchen with me today so you could see how I felt when I stood beside my mother, my grandmother, and my mother-in-law, who were all really great cooks. And I learned so much by just observing the techniques that I've learned and I've spoken about this season to make all of our delicious dishes. All right, so the fried pork chop fries up really crisp. Once you've done that, you can put it in a warming drawer and it'll stay really crispy for quite a while. If you don't have a warming drawer, just put that oven on a very low temperature and then you're ready to serve and plate your food at the very last minute. And then Jen Fiore was my special guest today. She's a gluten-free expert. She brought a recipe for a cake that I actually questioned because I was not familiar with some of the ingredients, but it turned out beautifully. It had the perfect crown. It baked in exactly 1 hour. Everything that she put in that recipe worked to a T. So I can't wait for you to try it. She shared it with us. It'll be on our website at VeryVera.com. And then finally, the black-eyed pea salad. This was very easy to make. So you start by using a ball jar or a mason jar and you're going to make your dressing. It's garlic, vinegar, oil, freshly squeezed orange juice, Dijon mustard, salt, and pepper. And then in another bowl, you're going to put your black-eyed peas, your fresh bell pepper, and I used red, celery, carrot, onions, and cilantro. And then just mix all those vegetables together, then shake that dressing up really well, pour it over it, and let it sit for about 8 to 10 hours or even overnight. It'll marinate beautifully and will be delicious on a plate with the pork chop. All right, so part of the fun to me to celebrate a dinner party is to set the table. I enjoyed today having some more of Hester and Cook's beautifully presented pieces to put on the table. And one of the things that we love to do is to put some of the extras on the table so people don't feel like they have to get up and go to the kitchen. So the extra collard greens, the rice, the pork chops, all of that, just you can do family style on the table. So we are going into 2023 really celebrating quite a lot. We're going to start with the fact that we're launching our next cookbook in 2023. I'll be 70 years old in February next year, and we've really been celebrating that. Then our catering business will be 39 years old this year when we celebrate the golf tournament here in Augusta. And then finally, our summer camp will be 20 years old in 2023. So I certainly hope all of you look forward to a lot of celebrations this coming year. And remember, no matter what you do it in good taste. I hope you'll come back and join me next year. For more of my recipes, visit our website to order the cookbook.